Hi guys, it's me again, coming at you in the evening with a Sunday sketch. I had some guests over during the morning and early afternoon and stuff, so I just got back from going out to dinner and everything. But I did want to make sure that I got a Sunday sketch in before I got back into working on my homework. Or finals rather, not homework really. I mean, although finals kind of like homework, I don't know. Anyways, I've been talking a lot about Gigantic and working a lot with the design of Gigantic and Motiga and their fantastic cast of characters. So I thought that I would jump into a Sunday sketch how-to video featuring the cast of Gigantic. I probably won't go through the whole cast, but I know Tyto the Swift, and I found out that according to the official video that they put out, his name is Tyto, not Tito. I keep calling him Tito, but Tyto the Swift is one of the more popular characters, and also one with a lot more reference material. So I'm gonna go ahead and do Tyto the Swift, how to draw, and let's get going on it. So the first thing, of course, you want to do is find your reference material. Now, the actual guy is on ArtStation. The actual guy who did the concept art for Tyto is on ArtStation, and ArtStation is a fantastic site to find, like more professional artists, concept artists, all these things. So I'm going to go ahead and find it. And this guy is Devin Katie Lee. It's hyphenated. Did a lot of design work for Gigantic. Really cool artist. But one benefit of finding and having this person on ArtStation, I'm following them on ArtStation, right, is I can find some of the actual design stuff. So we are going to pull from an actual official design piece of design artwork, and I think that is really cool. I don't think that's something that I've done before on the stream. So let's see. So there it is. An official layout page for Tyto the Swift. Now, a few things that we can tell right away. Obviously, he only has one arm. Another thing is the shape. He's very narrow in around the waist, and then he widens up. But he's also, everything is very tall about him. Everything about him is very tall, right? So anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and just do a quick analysis. And one thing that I think I've mentioned before about Gigantic is that a lot of the characters are very, very like shape dependent, right? Like Uncle Sven, for instance, he is very round, and because he's basically the same shape as his potion bottles. So, anyways, Tyto has a very angular body. There's his waist there, right? Very angular body. And he's got long, pointy shoes. That's another thing about Gigantic, is a lot of characters have long, pointy shoes. But if you notice, there's a lot of what feels like a lot of triangles, right? So there's like one here, and one here. And there's kind of a triangular shape here. And then his head, of course, comes in over there. Anyways, lots of triangles. But also lots of curves. He's a very curvy character, right? So we're gonna go ahead and go back to, so that's just a very brief kind of breakdown, right? So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna work on part of a design, which is a silhouette, right? So we're gonna try and capture his shape. Like before, we do a sketch, and you know, I'd be like, okay, Sonic has a couple of circles, right? Or like with Link, you know, or the Rivali, right? His you know, I'd map out the body like that, right? Well, one thing that we can do, because Gigantic's characters are so like shape oriented, we can actually build the character into a silhouette, and it'll be recognizable without having all the colors and the details and stuff. So that's the aim of this set of streams that I'm going to do here. So first thing I want to do is, of course, they have the triangle and the triangle, leg, and I'm still mapping things out. Foot and foot. But then I'm just gonna go ahead and build in a bunch of basically just build in blackness and stuff. So and then we gotta make sure we give him like baggy pants at the bottom, so the pants kind of curve out into this, you know, baggy pants kind of thing, right? And then he's got these shoes that also have very much triangles to them, right? He's actually got a bit of a heel on there. And you see how I'm basically doing a little bit of sculpting to get the character to be the right shape. Then he's got the feather on his head. And this is, I think I did at least one video where I did something similar. So we're going to look at our reference again. So it's his left arm that is missing, okay? That's an important thing. I've seen a lot of fan art where they actually get the wrong arm missing, but it's his left. So if we're looking at it, this is his left, this is his right, right? So he is right-handed because that's the only hand he has. So we're going to draw him from the front. And there's a difference between having mirrored, right? So like this is my right. If I drew it straight across to be mirrored, that's my right though. You know, it's not his right. So it's actually, this is his right arm, right? And he doesn't have this other arm. So I'm gonna take a look, and he's got very that same kind of baggy feel to his clothes, right? Before the glove, and then he's got more, looks like more triangles built into his glove. Probably should make the arm longer, because the hand should still come down there. And again, this is not like official or anything. Or I say again, but this is the first time I've mentioned it. This is not official or anything. I'm sure Devin, Katie Lee has his own process that he goes through. But this is sort of how I would break down the character and draw them, right? So already, it's looking pretty close to Tyto, right? I will say that I'm not sure I'm sold on the arm length. No, the arm length seems okay. And one way you can tell the arm length is right. So his hands right here, and his elbows about there. And if you just kind of draw arcs, you know, because his hand, it would fall to his side in an arc, and so then you'd end up with it coming to about almost just above the knee, right? So his arms are a little long, or his one arm. Let me paraphrase that. So anyway, and then we have the silhouette, right? Now, of course, one thing about Tyto is having that bladed cape that he's got, which is awesome. However, I'm not going to be drawing that into his silhouette because that is a detail that kind of goes on top, I feel like. But it is, well, maybe we can work it into the silhouette, because the problem with putting it on top of a silhouette is that if I were to draw the cape, right, it'd be like that, and then eventually you just wouldn't be able to tell what that is, right? So we're going to actually leave that out. And then what we can do is make another layer or do something else, draw behind, right? But I'm not really worried about that right now. I'm worried about getting his body right. And so then we have this silhouette. Now, one way you can do things is to use grayscale and then apply color over the grayscale. And you can do this even when you're doing, you know, more traditional art, right? So, for instance, I'll just take a white watercolor brush and I'll start putting in. I have the silhouette already, so now I'm going to be adding values to the to this, right? And actually, I'm going to go ahead and take the pencil and kind of put in the mask first, because that's one thing that is just a very, very bright white. Put in that mask, and also the feather. Feather is very important. Right, and from there, from here, really, you can look at adding value to different places. His pants are very light as well, so we're going to go ahead and put that in there. And from this point, I'm just going to add lights and shadows. So we've got the knee bend, right? So we're going to go ahead and make sure we have a shadow where his knee would, or his pants, you know, start drooping, or kind of, what do you call it? My brain's not working, sorry. You want to have shadows where the pants are tapering inward, right? The lightest part, the light's going to hit the top of these pants more than the bottom, right? So I'm going to have that, and then I'm going to put this shadow in where the pants taper underneath. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry about that. Got a little tongue-tied. And then we're going to do the same here. Let's go ahead and actually do this in pencil. Watercolor takes a little bit longer, and so I would feel like I would want to do a proper, like, time-lapsed video for a watercolor. Although you can tell the difference that I'm putting in here already. So I'm just going to go over this in white, and then I'm going to take a gray and put it in there. Right, and then we're going to put, because there's going to be a shadow on the inside of the leg, where it's underneath stuff. And there you go. Now, one way to learn how to do grayscale, right, is of course to put in a color and then desaturate it. So, for instance, if I come in here and I want to make a copy of this layer, and watch what happens when I take all of the color out of it, basically. Tonal correction, saturation. When I take all the, and then it's just grayscale, right? And so you see red becomes this kind of dark gray. So I just kind of wanted to explain where I'm getting my gray from when I come in here for this next part, which is his cape, right? And his cowl, right? So watch what happens now. Now that I have some color kind of blocked, or some, sorry, grayscale blocked in, watch what ends up happening if I come in here and color over the top of it. Now I'm going to use an overlay layer here, but you can use like light washes or watercolor over the top of a grayscale. You know, just be careful with it. But if you use that, see, I'm not losing any of the light and shadow information, but I'm putting red over the top of it, so it looks red, right? So that, I think, is really a neat... I think using a grayscale image is a really neat way to go about it, and you get some good information with the color. And then if you don't like the color, you can adjust it just by basically replacing the color without losing your lights and your shadows, or losing any of the other information that you have in your piece, right? So I think there's some interesting value in doing it that way. So that being said, I think I'm just gonna do some. I think I'm just gonna draw for a little bit. I showed you guys how to. Of course, we broke it down into the basic shapes. And now I'm just gonna add lights or add light and add shadow, and that's basically all I'm doing right now. There's gonna be more light here, and you can continue to do this until you get a piece that you like. Right? So we're going to switch back to that. We're going to look at that. This has got an interesting kind of mask shape. Got that hoot hoot owl mask. And so again, you want to try to like capture the image as best you can, and I'm gonna put some more black kind of in here. Right, and I'm gonna grab some gray. Lighten all this up. It becomes very interesting. It becomes about layering on your highlights and your shadows. And you want to pay attention to things like the shape of the cloth, and where the light would actually lie. Obviously. We're going to lighten up his eyes a bit, because he's got really bright, vivid eyes, right? And so then we can go, again, we can go into a layer over the top of it, and we can get this great red look, right? And I am drawing very loosely this time, because I'm not really going into a whole lot of detail and stuff. Like, I do want some detail, obviously, but I don't want to kind of with this style, I want to keep it very loose and very, very quick. Which can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, you know, it's personal preference to a degree. Gonna take some of the shape away here, because I want to bring that in. Shape is still very important to the game and to the characters in the game, right? Let's go ahead and kill that for a second. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and put the cape on, right? So I'm gonna put this shoulder section on, and then add the cape coming off of that. Right? And again, drawing real fast and loose. The cape goes all the way to the floor. Oh. Right? And then we're gonna make it darker, like under the cloth where the light's gonna hit it, and also back here. And then a little bit there, but actually I wanted it to be a little bit lighter. Oh, that's too light. I'm gonna go ahead and even use even bigger lines for this, I think. Use even broader strokes, you know? So I'm gonna do light, light, light. Well, let's see what happens if I make that red. That still looks fine, to me. And then, of course, we gotta lighten up spots on the cape where the light hits that. And then what's going to be pretty cool is we can take our eraser and actually pull away some of the sort of mismatched shapes that we don't want. kind of just carve away at it, right? And there you go. There you have that. So, anywho, you see, it ends up being... Oh, wrong layer. It ends up being a fairly effective way to get some good depth in on your character, right? If you look at these strands, right, or the cape strands, it ends up being pretty cool. So, next I'm gonna go ahead and get in on this jacket. And again, we're just using pretty broad strokes for now. Oh, that's a little too broad. And that's also a little too light. I'm going to darken that up a bit. That's better. He's actually got kind of a long coat. Right? Right. You got this glorious golden sash. And again, it's very, very simple, just adding and taking away where we want our light to be, and then we add colors on after that, kind of at the top, right? And that's going to be the gold trim. It's got these little arrows pointing out. And you can do the same concept with sort of whatever style you have, right? Which is the nice part, really. He's also got, so he's got the gold sash, he's got the gold trim, he's also got this gold, like, neck hanging bit. And then for this, I'm actually gonna do a thing. I'm gonna take and create space on him like that, because his necklace thing is like segmented, right? So I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna take this white, I'm just gonna give it a little bit of shine. And there we go. So now his clothes under here are a little bit brighter. That's too bright. A little bit brighter than the coat. But not as bright as the gold trim. Okay, and if you, you know, I'm thinking I should probably just start pre-recording these so that I can do, you know, like add commentary over the top, and then I don't have to like focus on painting or talking, but I can like paint first and then get into all the words and stuff. Just a thought. I'm probably gonna do that as soon as I can, so. For now, you're gonna have to put up with me. Sort of only half paying attention to the chat sometimes and all that kind of stuff, because I do get a little absorbed in what I'm doing sometimes. I'm also pretty tired from this weekend, just getting finals together for finals week. So I am just a smidge out of it, but I'm trying. So anyway, there you go. That is a real quick and dirty Tyto the Swift. And you can do this same technique, and it helps create fewer and fewer actual lines, right? Because if I go in here now and I start focusing on adding and taking away shadows, right? So I'm gonna add some more darkness here, and here under this belt. Excuse me. And there. Oh, yeah, that's fine. And this will be like the line where his torso like turns right underneath, or you get a feeling of his chest. His magnificent Birdman chest and breastbone. You know, and then add that there. You know, you can keep adding and taking away. And then eventually you'll end up with a pretty good, or a pretty strong sort of seamless piece. And you see, the more we add and the more detail we go into, like if I get real small with my tool here, and I start adding in more little details, and that's going to change how that looks, but we're still going to end up with a nice relatively wrong layer again, a relatively lineless piece with some decent amount of detailing on it, right? So I guess that's the whole point of, like, you see how his arm is versus how his cowl is versus his chest piece, right? Because I've added some more parts, some more details, but he still doesn't have any edges, and that's definitely one of the things that's it's very very like Gigantic as far as their a lot of their art goes. They don't have a lot of lines on a lot of their artwork, but they still have their shadows and stuff, which you can build up without needing lines. It may look like I'm adding lines now, but it's actually just, you know, more lights and shadows. I'm actually going to remove some lights from this piece, because I think they're too white, too contrasty, too hot. And if I just keep going down the figure, I keep adding and taking away, and I keep like sculpting and cutting into the form a little bit, like I'm gonna do right here. And right there. You know, the more we do that, the more we'll eventually get a very convincing Tyto the Swift. So, anyway, I hope this helped you guys get started on your own fan art. I had a lot of fun over the past few months with Gigantic style, so this isn't quite their style, but the character I think is cool, and trying to go with that lineless thing gets very tricky. But if you start with a silhouette and then do this sort of add and subtract version of art instead of what we've been doing for the past couple of sets, the whole add and subtract thing will get you to a place that's a lot closer to Motiga's art style than what we were doing before. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, sorry for being so much later in the evening for this. Everybody who's joined me in the chat this evening, I'm just really a little exhausted from the just everything, really. Finals and stuff. That being said, I do have to do some more work on Final, so I'm cutting this episode a little bit short. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do more gigantic characters or not. I'd love to get your opinion on that. I will do more of Tyto, in the future, but for now, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So, again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you thought it was helpful, like, thumbs up, do all those good YouTube things. And also consider supporting the channel through Patreon if you like the content I'm trying to create, and want to help me improve on it. That is a great way to do that. I'm also taking commissions. You saw what I could do in such little time as 40 minutes. You know, I did this guy here, and I could do, you know, if I devote a little more time to it, I could definitely turn this into something real nice. So, you know, check out my website, and use the contact page on my website to get in touch with me if you are interested in commissioning a piece. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and log off for now, and I will catch you guys soon, I hope, for more stuff, for more good stuff. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, goodbye, friends.